people. So how do you respond to that characterization of what you do?
It's just kind of bizarre. It's kind of silly hysteria. Anybody who watched what the Attorney General said, what they did today, they simply are following through on protecting religious freedom for everybody, people of all faiths. You saw all different faiths there today. And that's all. It didn't talk about any of these issues, these groups. Some of these groups are so obsessed with their issue that they think everything is about it. This is about freedom. And this really follows up. The president started with promises about religious freedom. He started with an executive order. And then you had the Attorney General, and that executive order asked the Attorney General to give guidance to all the departments, the federal agencies, and that's exactly what the Attorney General did in October, the 20 guidelines, and they were excellent. I mean, I've been doing religious freedom work for over a quarter century, and you know the difference between a political move or whatever, and those were excellent, they're solid, and so this is the next step, what happened today.
I want to read you a little bit more from the Daily Beast. It said, if you are opposed to marriage equality or just dislike or disapprove of LGBT people generally, the Trump administration just gave you the green light to go ahead and refuse to serve them in your business or help them with their medical care. If an LGBT person wants or needs to use your service, no problem. Tell them to shove off. The Attorney General is right behind you. I believe it was that same article where they talked about the fact that this is all about Christians who do not need protection in the United States of America.
It's just divorce from reality. I mean, it's nothing that the guidelines talked about. This is about freedom. Again, some of these groups are so obsessed with their issue that they think people shouldn't have a right to have differing opinions on it.
And they talk about the Baker case. I mean, with the Baker who had the case at the Supreme Court, who said, I will serve people. I do serve LGBT people all the time. I won't craft a custom cake for them. They say that he's basically a bigot and that this is now the U.S. government protecting bigots. Well,
look, people have different beliefs about same-sex marriage in this country. And I think the thing that almost all Americans agree on is people have a right to have different beliefs. And a lot of those beliefs come from their faith, and that's religious freedom protected. The problem is these guidelines, when they were excellently done by the Attorney General Sessions following the president's orders, but that doesn't mean they're being implemented. So we are having a lot of problems. For instance, it's like General Mattis didn't get the memo. And so we're having all these military cases with chaplains, and I think of Chaplain Squires, who's gotten a Bronze Star, who's been awarded the Meritorious Service Award 5 times, and his career is now basically about to be thrown out. Why? Because he's being a good chaplain and following the regulations that he's supposed to. That should not be happening. And look, people think I'm making this up. Go to firstliberty.org, look at Chaplain Squires, look at what's happening. This is why the task force today, which takes people that are a part of the DOJ and saying, let's make sure we're focused on making sure these are implemented throughout the federal government. That's great for people of all faiths or no faith at all because it protects everyone's right to believe what they believe.
Yeah, and I would note that if people want to check out what the Attorney General had to say, he talked about cases they're prosecuting now protecting Jews, Muslims, Sikhs, all kinds of different faiths, and he says that's what this is going to be about. Kelly, keep us up to date. You always have interesting cases.
Absolutely. Good, great to see you, Shannon.